Hi guys, welcome to the 80th edition of the Chronicles of Podcast. That's right, I said 80, boys and girls. We're been quite surprised that we've still been here. We're still here, still doing the same thing. 80 editions in with 80 wonderful interviews that we've had. But I suppose we should crack on. Jamie, I do believe that these chronicles right here, for some reason on the tip of the old schnoz, are the Chronicles of Becky Baldwin.
Yeah, they are.
Excellent. We better get started. Hit it!
Hey, honey bunny, it's Rivka Reyes.
This is Ron Wasserman, the nut that wrote Go-Go Power Rangers.
It's Boba Fett here.
This is Molly Rennick from Living Dead Girl.
It's WWE superstar, legend, Davey Boy Smith's daughter, Georgia Smith.
Hello, this is Becky Baldwin, the bass player of Fury and Hands Off Gretel, and you're listening to or watching the Chronicles of Podcast with Tom and Jamie.
VHSs in, just record scuzz for hours.
Join us as we bring you the Chronicles of Becky Baldwin.
But I do think now I should go and get that pizza from over there.
Oh, we definitely should.
Absolutely. Welcome to the Chronicles of Becky Baldwin.
Becky Baldwin is an incredible musician and possibly the busiest bass player in all of the UK. She's part of two incredible bands, being Hands Off Gretel and Fury. And most recently, she got to live out an absolute dream of touring North America as part of this little rock band. You may have heard of them, called Mercyful Fate, alongside King Diamond and co. What an incredible, incredible opportunity that was. And we got to sit down and talk to Becky all about her career, her life, and how this bloody opportunity came about. This is phenomenal.
Yeah, Becky, thank you so much for taking the time out to sit and chat to us. I really hope that you enjoyed Abba Voyage and Devin Townsend that I know you've been to recently. So, and we shall see you April 29th at the Primordial Festival. Looking forward to seeing Fury. Jamie!
Yes, sir.
Any final words at all?
Just a massive thank you to Becky. And if any of you people are listening who are at Bloodstock, you can finally get the answer to the question: who the hell is Becky Baldwin?
Yeah, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, interviewing this week, it's Becky Baldwin.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we bring you another incredibly talented guest. As we all know, my hometown of Birmingham is the home of metal, and this week's guest is further proof as to why. As soon as I heard that filthy bass line open into the song Burnout by Fury, I knew we had to talk to that bass player. So we are. Playing with bands like Fury, Hands Off Gretel, and recently getting to live a real-life version of Rockstar featuring Mark Wahlberg by playing and performing the iconic Mercyful Fate. It's the lady who had a feel of people in Derbyshire ask, who the hell is Becky Baldwin? Boys and girls, this week join us as we bring you the Chronicles of Becky Baldwin.
Hello.
Hello.
Just real quick, because the Bloodstock thing, when you got over the tannoy, everyone was like, oh, someone's getting proposed to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, oh, is there going to be someone going on stage if I can propose it, eh? Yeah, crazy. Why did they announce it? Just that we missing, or?
No, I think they were interested in documenting it and kind of showing how like it was kind of spontaneous. Like it wasn't really planned ahead of time, and I was surprised on the day with being asked about doing this thing, and they couldn't announce then and there that I was going to be playing bass with them, but they wanted just to, I don't know, start a bit of like people talking about the whole thing. And I don't know whether what happened, what people were talking about was what they wanted them to talk about, but they were just interested to see what people would say about it. And just, I don't know, stir a bit of intrigue into the whole situation. And it kind of worked. Like I was reading some of the Bloodstock forums and stuff, and what people were, the ideas they were throwing around about what they thought it was going to be, and it was quite funny.
Wonderful. Well, I think we should take a quick step back. We will get to the whole Mercyful Fate stuff, but we like to chronologically do shit because we're just weird, and I think I've maybe have some form of ADHD. I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, just matter. Take us back to the pandemic, then, your pandemic season, as it were. Like, how have the last few years been for you?
So yeah, the pandemic season was like definitely a struggle, because I was taking more of a turn with my work towards live music. I mean, you know, I've always been like playing live as my career, but I turned less towards like function bands and more towards original bands. And my original bands had tours coming up to promote new EPs and new albums, so there was a lot like invested in terms of time and money into these tours coming off, and you know, being as successful as they had been, you know, in the way they'd been going before. So it was a big shock, and it was very difficult to deal with. Just like it was just not knowing when we were going to come back to it. At first, when it was like, oh, it's a few months, like, okay, we'll have to postpone this, like this sucks, like you know, a lot of bands in my kind of level just wouldn't think of canceling a gig, like would do anything to make a gig go ahead. If someone's ill, someone's like, you know, broken their leg, you just go and do it, or you always find a way. But having to like pull a whole tour and not knowing when you could move it to was like very scary, and moving it and then having to move it again and again as lockdown continued. That was, yeah, it was really hard. I mean, I adapted in any ways that I could. I started doing Patreon stuff, started doing more online stuff, like reaching more of an online audience. So with Fury in particular, we were very much used to just tour all the time and play, and we have a big fan base in the UK, really, like it's going well. But we hadn't thought about online stuff as much, and having that opportunity to speak to all of our fans online, and then have the opportunity to grow those fans online did make a big difference to the band. We suddenly started seeing that we're sending new CDs to loads of countries all over the world. So, you know, there was good things that came of it, but definitely it was a bad thing overall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I felt so sorry for musicians during that time. You can guarantee there's probably some of the older bands that were just like, oh, rest for 5 minutes. I quite like this idea. But then there's others, like you say, you're trying to get that name out there, get touring, you've got all this stuff playing, you're like, oh shit, I guess I'll sit at home in my pants and like,
yeah, you get a bit of momentum, and then it just kind of stunts you. You don't really know what you're meant to be doing now. You're like, okay, yeah, I don't know, what can you plan for when you can't really make a plan, because you don't know how the world is going to look in the next like 6 months to a year. And that was the thing that started getting worse and worse when it became like more than 9 months a year, when it came into its second year, and it was like, is there even a future in music? Is there a career in music that that's feasible for any of us? And like knowing that Brexit was at the end of that following year, like I don't know, yeah, it was very difficult times. But you know, at least like there are a lot of bands still going. You know, my bands did just about survive. But yeah, there's so many bands that didn't.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, because there was no money put into the arts or the music industry at all. Like venues were closing down. And like you say, when it came to second year, everyone was like, are we actually going to get out of this? Is this actually going to be around forever? Because, you know, after when you get to like a November lockdown, and it locked down like in early of like 21, I think it was, and you're just like, fuck, we're not going to be here forever now. This is just going to be it. This is going to be normal. Everyone's going to stay away from each other. You know, we'll have to have
really
like
depressing. Yeah, it was just a depressing season as well, to be stuck inside all the time. Like normally when you have these, you know, darker days and like, you know, like very cold nights, you get together and you kind of hang out and do things together. But having the whole winter on your own and just like not allowed to see anyone. I think a lot of my friends and myself were all losing our minds a little bit.
You found it there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's not 100% sure, but
No.
But Becky, take us back to the days of young Miss Baldwin. What did young Becky want to be when she was growing up? Has it always been music for you, or was it something completely different originally?
When I was like very young, I wanted to be a vet because I really love animals, and I still do. I still would love to work with animals one day, but I don't know. You have to be quite clever to be a vet, and like I was doing quite well, at school and stuff, and then it got to a point where I was like, I've discovered rock music now, and I don't want to study anymore. I was just like, no, metal is my whole personality now. Like I don't want to do anything else. And once I got more into music and stuff, I realized that was more suited to my intellect.
What drew you
maybe
to
one
music?
day I'll do so. Sorry.
What actually drew you to music? What made you go and go as soon as you discovered metal? Went, fuck, that's it. That's exactly what I want to do.
I think, I don't know, I guess just like watching other bands and just the feeling you get when you're watching a live band. So with my parents when I was a kid, we always went to like local village festivals and saw bands and things, and it was just like the biggest thrill to see people playing really cool music, and you just always picture yourself doing that kind of thing and being like, yeah, I could do that, and like people will think I'm cool as well. So and then as my taste then kind of developed more into the kind of music I listen to now, then you were really idolizing these particular people, these characters, like Lemmy. I was always really thought like he made the bass so cool, and people like that, Alice Cooper, these kind of like bands that you kind of entry level of the kind of older heavy metal and shock rock and classic rock, that kind of things that are just, I don't know, really interesting to a young person who's into kind of horror and I don't know, kind of the darker side of life, I guess. And like you always feel a bit different, and suddenly those feelings of being on the outside and a bit excluded from, I don't know, like your group in school and stuff, you start being like, well, those people don't look like everyone else, but everyone thinks they're cool still. Or not everyone, but there are lots of people that think they're cool. And I don't know, you just kind of want to pursue that kind of, I don't know what it is, I don't know whether it is like, oh, I want people to like look up to me and think that I'm really super cool, because I don't know if it's that. It's just something really exciting about playing music and being on stage and all of that stuff.
I get it. That is exactly why I think the metal community is why they call it a community. You don't have the R&B community, but for the metal fans, you do say a metal community because it is like that. You say, I'm different, they're different. Oh, they're also different. Friends.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful. I love that. But how is it you fell into the world of metal? Was it your parents introduced you to that, or was it friends group?
It was mostly like the internet, and we got like Sky TV at home. Like before, it was just kind of what's on radio and what's on Top of the Pops, and just stuff that you end up like listening to there. But when we got Sky TV and they had like Scuzz and P-Rock and Kerrang, then I just kind of discovered some of these, and we recently just got the internet as well, and I was like, I could look up all of these artists and download them on LimeWire and Kazaa and ruin my family computer. Sorry, Lars, I didn't download. I bought your albums actually, Metallica. But yeah, like, and then just down a complete rabbit hole. Like, I guess the first bands would be Metallica, Evanescence, Linkin Park, that kind of thing. Then I really latched onto Metallica. They were like my favorite band like ever for years. And then down a huge rabbit hole with all like the message boards that were around at the time, kind of working my way back from that, like discovering the bands that influenced Metallica and the kind of heavier bands from that. And so it was like, you know, my parents do listen to rock music. My dad's more into kind of like Hawkwind and a lot of like, I don't know, he's into a range of stuff, but I feel like we all kind of discovered the kind of alternative and metal stuff around the same time, just because like suddenly everything's opened up because of the internet and because of these extra music channels and things.
P-Rock does not get enough love. I
Yeah,
love
it was
that
too
channel.
short-lived.
Very much so.
I forgot all about P-Rock, to be fair.
Yeah, I think it was one of like the smaller channels, and then it kind of disappeared or got like got turned into something else that wasn't quite as good. But yeah, I was there. Showing my age now.
So, what age? Oh, sorry. Come on.
Very good to get. I was going to say Kazaa as well. It just took me back a little bit. I was like, bloody hell! I remember those days, teenage days. VHSs in, just record scuds for hours.
Yeah. Oh, when you download songs that are like mislabeled, and so you think they're this by this band, and then years later you're like, oh, this is Judas Priest. I thought this was this other band. Like it was mislabeled. It was on my MP3 player for years, and I just always thought it was them.
Oh, so good. Or you'd find ones that were like Metallica plus Slipknot plus Linkin Park plus Papa Roach, and you're like,
I'm going to download that. Yes.
Sounds amazing.
And it turns out it's just some like rubbish local bands that were just like use it a plan to like just get on everyone's. It's a virus. It's actually just a virus. It's not.
Computers melts like shit.
Sorry, Mom. But at what age did you decide to start playing an instrument?
So I got my bass, my first bass for my 13th birthday. So that was when I started doing like a rock instrument. Before then, I played a little bit of piano and keyboards and stuff, but I wasn't very good at it, and I wasn't very good at like practicing. I don't know. I kind of ran out of steam quite a lot and got bored of it and moved on. And then I'd stop for a few months and I'd be like, oh no, I want to come back to it, and I'd start again. So yeah, the discipline was not there for piano, but once I picked up a bass, I was like, yep, I have a million things that I want to learn on this instrument, and let's go. So yeah, it really kind of captured what I wanted to do when as soon as I found bass guitar.
I love that.
Why bass though? Why? Because obviously everybody initially goes for guitar straight away. That's everyone's first ever thing go to, and then they normally either go to drums or play bass because they have to. But what? I don't mean that. I'm not trying to sound like a prick, by the way. I'm not. Everyone goes, shits on the bassist, but like, why bass? I'm just intrigued.
Yeah. Well, I guess really it was because some of my friends at school started playing guitar. And my sister started playing guitar as well, and I was like, I want to join in, but they already have guitarists. Like there's already loads of them. Like how can I join in but not be copying you? And I don't know if my parents will let me have a drum kit, so like what else can I do? And they're like, why don't you try bass? I'm like, what is bass? And then I started like being like, oh, okay, that's bass, like Lemmy in Hawkwind and Motorhead and stuff, and like that cool guy with the cool mustache from The Darkness, that's a bass player. And I'm like, oh, bass players are cool. I like these guys. And then yeah, it really stuck. I was like, nope, bass is fine by me. Like I don't need to, I don't have any interest in the guitar or the drums or the vocals or anything else. That was fine with me. But yeah, so it wasn't really like it didn't draw me in immediately, I guess. But once I kind of got what it was, I identified more, I think, with the bass player of the band. They kind of, I don't know, they're not in like the forefront, I guess, so much, but they've got a kind of quiet, understated coolness about them. I don't know. That's what I think, anyway. So I don't know, like System of a Down, like a Shavo or a Shavo, whatever you call it, like with the cool beard, and those are the kind of bass players I was seeing at the time, and I was like, no, they're still cool. Like they may not be the one who, not everyone knows their name. They might be focusing on the other members, but like they've got something really cool going on, and like I aspire to be like that.
No, fair. I love it. I love it. I think bass is great. You can get some sick fucking riffs on bass guitar. It's unreal. I remember a band called Do you remember a band called Whitmore?
Yes, I do remember. Yeah.
Always had bass solos, and you're like, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah, that's a blast from the past. I haven't listened to them since I was like 13, 14. Wow.
Yeah, I don't even think they're on Spotify at all. I think Alison
really?
might be the song Alison, but I don't think anything else is.
That was a banger.
That was a great YouTube after this, Becky. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Yes. Going on a deep dive into like early 2000s alternative rock.
Yeah, let's get P rock back. Just put P rock in and then live the dream again.
So, at what point did you go like, okay, this is cool. I got a bass. I can play with my sister, my friends. This is awesome. To go, no, I want this to be my future. This will be my career. I want to be a professional bass player.
I think it probably even came before getting the bass. It was kind of like, I'm going to become a professional bass player. I want to be one of those people. So I need to get a bass first, and then I'll do that. so yeah, it was kind of as soon as I had got into that kind of music, the kind of rock music, I wanted to do that thing, like becoming a musician. And then it was just, okay, how do I do that? Like, what instrument do I do? Which bass do I get? What stuff do I learn? And then this band whole thing, going into it that way. But yeah, I really wanted to do it as my job already. And yeah, like, I don't know, I guess at the start, I think I could have taken it or left it, like the whole, am I going to be a vet or am I going to be a rock star thing? It was like, which one shall I choose? I was like, yeah, both would be fine. But yeah, like, I think I kind of knew that I'd be heading in that direction. That was more exciting to me at the time.
I love that. We laughed that off, but that is really inspirational. People listen to this, like young age went, I want to be a bass player. What does it take? Okay, I'll do that. Sorted. Hey, I'm now a bass player. I'm on stage.
Yeah.
You had your plan and followed it, and that is awesome. I love that so much.
Thank you.
So you went on to study professional musicianship at Bristol. What is that?
Yeah, it's a very like catch-all term. So you learn, like, you do have lessons on your instrument, so you'll learn about like session playing in your instrument, so like a session bass player if you needed to fill in for someone or do a recording session or something like this. So you learn all different styles of music. This was this was a BIM, and it's all contemporary music, so it's everything from like 50s to current day kind of music, compared to a lot of other music degrees which are more like based in classical music and stuff like this. But you can kind of study your area of specialism. For me, actually, I looked into musical theatre because I was kind of interested in that kind of musical theatre pit work kind of stuff. But you also can take a course in like a module in teaching. You take a module on business, like how to understand contracts, and commercial band management, stuff like this. So like lots of different ways. They kind of show you all the different ways you can make money and succeed as a musician, and then you just kind of pick your area and go and pursue that. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it did. It's just a very weird name for it.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know, like when people say like, oh, what do you do for your job then? And you're like, oh, I'm a musician. Like they're like, well, what does that actually entail day to day? You're just like, oh my God. Like it's either like, there's so many little things that you just, oh, I do a bit of this, and then I did that for a few hours, and I did this. But yeah, it is quite hard to be like, this is my job on this day. It very much varies throughout like the time of year and everything. So yeah, it's just all these little avenues that you need to like learn a bit about and see where you fit into the music industry, because there's so many different roles in the music industry that you might find you're going there pursuing, I'm learning drums or something like this, then you find out, oh, actually I'm a better booking agent, or I'm a better like lighting design. You could do something else that's adjacent to the music industry, but you have a degree in it, so that helps. It totally doesn't help, but no, it does help.
That's all. that can be like so invaluable, I can imagine, though, in doing the career you've done so far, because there's probably a ton of people going, I want to be a bass player. Okay, should we start a band? Sweet. Should we go play shows in a pub? Yeah, sure. And that, you don't know what to do past that. So having that information must be amazing, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I could have ended up stuck in that situation. So when I finished secondary school, I really wanted to just finish there, get a part-time job, and just like form a band, work with my band, and like we'll figure it out, but like my parents said, like, come on, just like check out some of these music, you can still do music, but get a degree, it will be a good idea. And I was like, and then I went along to one of the open days, and I was like, oh no, this is pretty cool, actually. I could see myself doing this, and I'm so glad I did, because like I was so clueless about everything that was to do with like running a band or playing professionally in any way. So although I was laughing about how it really helps to have a degree, the degree itself doesn't really like, for some people it might help you get a certain job, but most of the time you're self-employed, nobody cares like what degree you've got. But just all the information is just I don't think I'd be able to do any of this without moving to Bristol, being immersed by music and all these music professionals that I met there, and building those relationships with other musicians that I later on ended up working with, and all that kind of stuff. Like growing up in a small town, like village, there wasn't many musicians there, and at that time I was like, I don't know any like bass players that are much better than me. Like, I've got this sorted. I don't know any other. I didn't know any other bass players. Like, there weren't any. So, you have to go into a bigger pond and like see what other people are doing to be like, okay, no, I get what I actually have to do to succeed. So even like what I've done so far, like by no means like my bands aren't big. We're playing like. We're getting onto the bigger festivals, but we're like right down here in tiny writing and stuff like this. Like, we've not made it, but I wouldn't have even been able to get this far if it wasn't for the things I learned at university. So it is good. It is like just really good knowledge, but it's like you don't need a degree to do it, and it's not like the degree has given me that. It's the knowledge and the people I met.
I can imagine in your first day to turn up and going, hi, my name's Becky, I'm the best bass player in my village. Granted, I'm the only one, but I'm the best, so you're gonna love me.
And then like watch everyone else play, they'd be like, oh, you're gonna go and cry in the toilets now. That actually happened. Well, I didn't say I'm the best. I just went in and was like, oh, hi, nice to meet everyone. And then like everyone kind of played a bit, and then I was like, excuse me, I'm gonna hide in the toilets for the rest of today.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, bless it. Yeah.
And then I was just like calling my parents, like, I don't think I'm right for this. I'm gonna come home. And they're like, you have to stay. And I'm like, okay. But I think I was probably the most improved bass player of my year group, so that's all right. Because I don't think I did not have I just there was a lot of things that was just kind of missing from my knowledge, because there wasn't really a bass teacher in where I was like growing up. There was like a few bass, it was guitar teachers that would also teach a bit of bass. So I learned how to like jam along with a guitarist who's playing chords, and I can like jam along on the bass, but I didn't learn like slap style. I didn't learn anything that's very like specifically bass orientated stuff. So when they kind of came to those parts of the like degree course, I was like, yeah, I'm back to like square one, lesson one. Like, how do I do this?
What does it do again? Can you remind me what this is? What do I do with it?
But now you could find all those people you studied with and go, did you just tour with Mercyful Fate? No, I did. Bye. I was looking on your website, and some of the early recordings was Howard Sinclair, Triaxis, Control the Storm. Is that the session work you were referring to earlier, that sort of stuff?
So the Howard Sinclair stuff that was like a folk rock musician that was in Bristol when I was working there, and we kind of like I started playing with him, and then I agreed to record on his album and stuff. But no, I was in a band called Triaxis. When did I join? 2014. and then we did that album 0 Hour, and it kind of disbanded around, what was it, 2018, I think. And then also Control the Storm, the Beast Inside album, I was with them for that. But yeah, it was just kind of like I was with them for a number of years, and then either so Triaxis kind of disbanded, and I left Triaxis. I left Control the Storm in, I think, 2016, I think it was. Just kind of too busy, really, the schedules and things. Like I was also working with a punk band called I Destroy, and at one point I was in like 7 bands, and it was a bit mad.
Because obviously majority of people like because obviously you're a session basis on it, you play for anybody that'll be like, can you help us with this? What can you do? So obviously you play with Fury and Hands of Gretel, is that correct?
Yeah. So those are the 2 bands that I'm in. Yeah.
What made you want to do a bit of both? Because I think normally people just go, I'm in this band and that's it. Whereas obviously you've gone off and gone, okay, well, somebody wants me for a bit of jazz, and I might go and do a bit of urban, and then maybe do a bit of folk, and then maybe go over here and do, I don't know, my brain's gone, like steel drum music? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fine.
Any genre of music, Tom. Any genre of music.
My brain was like, I was like, come on, what's native to Africa? Like, come on, brain, think. And my brain's going, no, sorry, Tom, you're on your own. You're on your own. That's all. We'll go with steel drums. I'm pretty sure they're Jamaican, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll keep going with it anyway. But so I think my original question was, how come you wanted to dabble in both worlds?
I guess it was the natural progression of coming from university and doing it, because in university they're very encouraging of doing as many different styles as you can and try them all out and try and improve on all of those. And because you're gearing up to become a full-time professional musician, you're you're kind of got your fingers in quite a few pies. You're trying to figure out what's right for you. And so, like, especially for when I came out of uni, I was trying to do music as full-time, my only job, full-time thing. Whereas like my band members that you're with, they may have a day job and then do the band on the side. And it's like, well, I need to be in other bands to make this work. I've got a lot more time to put in than you do. So I can put my time into some other things as well. So, I might be doing that, and so you might be doing some recording and then some playing with like covers bands and function gigs. And so it always came to a point where I'd be like, okay, I'll do that, and I've got a bit of time for this, and I might just dep for a band. So before I joined Hands of Gretel, I was filling in with them for a summer. And then at the end of it, they asked me to join, and I was like, actually, I did have a lot of fun doing this, and you guys have a really good work ethic, and I wanted to join. Same with Fury, I depped for them for a tour, and then at the end of the tour, their permanent bass player was leaving, and so they asked me to join. And again, I was like, yeah, I had a great time. I have a bit of a difficult time just stopping once I get going. Once you've learned all the songs and you've got, you're getting a bit of friendship with the band members, it's hard to stop. So that, just the natural way of going. And over time, when I was in a lot of bands, it was kind of like, okay, all these bands want to play the weekends, and I only have this many weekends per year. And as certain bands got busier, it meant having to let go of bands that weren't as busy or weren't right to the kind of music that I wanted to play, for example. So before I was playing with hip hop artists and all kinds of stuff, and now it's just one metal band and one alternative rock band, and I'm like, okay, that's cut down quite a few from before, so this is good for me.
I imagine doing that session work, though, it's probably essential, I'd probably say, to young musicians, because like you say, you're learning so many different styles of music. It must be so, what's the word I'm after here? I can't think of the word I'm after, but yeah, it must be great to do it. Rewarding, that's the word. Thank you, Mr. Stevens. You can't think of his own words, but you can think of mine. But yeah, it must be really rewarding getting to learn all these new skills.
Yeah, absolutely. And those can all feed into, different genres and stuff. I was really into a lot of the funk stuff, the kind of covers band stuff I was doing that was a lot of funk influence stuff. And, sometimes I love a little funky bass line in the metal metal songs that I'm recording, or you have a cool blues thing where you got a nice walking bass line, and I love using that stuff in Fury bass lines because it just adds so much more color compared to just like, oh, just follow the guitar, just do a riff, stay on the root note. If you can like walk around with it, that's like really fun. So doing all those different types of music just makes you the bass player you are. Like, which bits of which genres do you want to just like throw together?
How do you like remember it all? It's what like, all the different styles, all the different. I suppose because do you finger pick? Is it finger picking? Or
Yeah.
do you use pick? Oh, okay. Like,
Yeah, I'm just
to remember
fingers.
all the styles and all the different ways of and how these songs get played, and how those songs get played, and those covers get done. Like it's incredible how you must remember everything.
Well, I think it depends if you use it or if like it just starts going to like the foggy part of your brain. If you're using those skills quite often, then they're always there ready for you. And like if you play certain songs often, you're going to remember what's going on. But yeah, if you stop using them, then you're going to start forgetting those techniques and those styles. So I try and keep them in as much as possible. But because I'm also like a teacher, that helps to kind of bring in a few different styles as well, because it's like, yes, you have to learn this funk song, yes, you have to learn this blues stuff, and that's a little refresher for me to be like, okay, yeah, this is how we're supposed to be playing this. So yeah, there's always ways to bring it back up to the front of your brain.
I suppose it's like song lyrics, isn't it? Like everyone remembers like so many songs. It's crazy how you can hear us. You haven't listened to a song for like 6 months, a year. You play it again, and it's like, bah, bah, and just remember the entire thing. Like, where did that come from? Like, where did I store that?
Or like some advert from like the late 90s that you haven't heard in years. And then you're like, bongo, bongo.
They drink it in the Congo. Yes.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And yeah, it's still in there somewhere. You're like, don't know why, didn't need it, but I can still remember the Yop song and stuff like that.
Yup, me mama good. Yup, me mama. Give me up, me mama to the morning cooks. Awesome. Yeah, it's exactly because I forgot all about that. Yeah, and then you just unlocked that, and I went, "Oh my god, I remember that."
Yeah, once you started singing it, like all the words are coming, and you're like, "I could keep going. I could keep going. I could do the dance." I'm glad you stopped when you did, but
like no, I'm so sorry.
I knew you could keep going.
Let's talk about the Mercyful Fate show, shall we? Let's get on to that. So obviously, like we said at the start of this interview, the announcement was made at Bloodstock that somebody was either searching for you or people thought a proposal was happening. How did all this come around then? How did they approach you? Did you inquire?
No. So I was watching, who was it? Dimmu Borgir were on, and one of my friends was playing on like the Sophie stage earlier that day, and I know that the phone signal's really bad at Bloodstock most of the time, so I was like, I'll just wander into VIP and see if he's there, because I don't think I'll be able to have a chance to. Texting him probably isn't going to work, so I'll just like wander around the Serpent's Lair bar and just do a little loop and see if he's there. And I do this little loop, and then my friend Sophie from Painkiller Clothing, she comes up to me and she's like, "Oh, it sounds kind of random, but I need you to meet someone." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll meet whoever you want, yeah." And she's like, "Wait here," and I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "Yeah, Livia wants to meet you," and I'm like, "Don't know who Livia is, but cool, yeah, I'll meet her, yeah, I'll wait." And then she's like, "Don't go anywhere," and I'm like, "Okay, very important that I meet Livia, like, don't know who this is." And then she kind of disappeared and then came back and was like, "Yeah, come with me." And I'm like, "Oh, so she's not here, or she's out there, what's going on?" And then I realized she's leading me to the backstage, this like the side of the main stage of Bloodstock, and I'm like, "Who's Livia?" I'm like, I need to know. And like, why are we going next to the main stage? And then we go back, and I'm thinking like, okay, the next band on tonight is Mercyful Fate. Like they're gonna be here. Like, I wonder if I'll see them. And then I start speaking to someone who I figured out was Mercyful Fate's manager, And he was like, "Oh, do you know why you're here?" And I'm like, "I have no idea why I'm here. I'm meeting Livia." And they were like, "Oh, Mercyful Fate needs to speak to you." And I'm like, "What? Oh my God, I'm going to meet Mercyful Fate. This is incredible." Yeah, they're like, "Yeah, they want to ask you to come on tour." And I'm like, "Doing what?" Merch? What do they need? What do they need me for? Is there going to be some kind of like live sacrifice? Am I going to be like tied to a stake and burned? Like, I'll do it. I'm up for it. But they were like, "Oh, no, they need a bass player." I'm like, "Oh, right. I can do that." And yeah, so it turns out Livia is King Diamond's wife. And so she's like, she was kind of doing a bit of like the kind of liaison and stuff and help, like kind of like his assistant on this tour. And she had realized that I was at Bloodstock. And a couple of days before, they decided that they were thinking of asking me to do it. And because she had heard that I was at Bloodstock, she's like, "Well, what we might as well ask her in person and like meet her and, you know, show that we're genuine about this." So yeah, so she knew Sophie of Painkiller Clothing and then sent Sophie to come and find me. And luckily I was in the VIP in the Serpent's Lair area, easy to be found. Just at that moment that she was looking for me. So because which is really lucky, because like that last year's Bloodstock was so hot, I spent most of the time not in the arena, actually just like trying to shelter from the sun. And the internet was so bad, like I didn't have much signal. And so I had been messaged by Livia and a couple of other people in the Mercyful Fate team, but because it was like in my other inbox on Instagram that wasn't loading up, I didn't see the message. So good job.
Wow,
I was at the right place at the right time.
But
So
how did Mercyful Fate even know who you were?
that was my question as well. So Hank Sherman, the guitarist, he had been following me on Instagram, or he had seen my videos on Instagram or something. Like he'd seen my videos come up a couple of times doing covers of other bands. Because I was like, "Oh, it must have been the I did a cover of Into the Coven back in like 2017." And he's like, "Oh no, I didn't see that. I saw some other stuff though." And I'm like, "Oh, well, that's fine, that's cool. But I did do that. Like I did do a pretty good cover. I think you should watch it." And he's like, "Yeah, that's not in the set list." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
So you must have known their songs already. You must have, I imagine. This
I only knew Into the Coven to play, but I knew Mercyful Fate quite well. Like I had the first album I'd listened to on repeat since I was like 15 or something. So I was very familiar with the first album, not as much the second one, but still knew quite a bit of them. And then the rest of their other couple of albums, just random download from Kazaa. So I just don't even know what band they are. Like, but a few singles from the later albums. So yeah, there was still like a lot from someone who knows the band and like familiar with like the history, but I'm not like, they've been going for such a long time. There was so much to learn about them that I was just like kind of coming into it being like, "Oh hi, yeah, I've got one of the albums and I have been researching like hell since you've asked me to join." But yeah, if I felt, I don't know, it's just very strange, very bizarre situation.
That is so oh, that's amazing. It's amazing though. But so this, obviously what we said at the start, that whole "can Becky Baldwin come to the stage," did you even know that was on the screen or anything then? If you were backstage
so
already?
They did say, yes, we're going to, yeah, they were like, "Okay, we're going to do this thing where we're going to like call you to the stage." And they were like, "Well, obviously like we would have tried to do this before, but we weren't sure if you'd be around, and weren't sure if you'd actually want to get on stage because it might not be a good time for you. So we wanted to ask you just in case, like, is it okay to do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Like, I don't know. My brain wasn't really functioning at this point. I'd just been asked to like play with Mercyful Fate, and I was just like, "I'll do anything. Yeah, sure." I'll do my best to like keep it together, speaking to Bloodstock. But of course, like they didn't say what I was going to be doing. So then all the kind of rumors started coming up, be like, "Oh, we're going to get proposed to," or like, because later on in the set, when Mercyful Fate played, he brought King brought his son Byron on stage, And some people in the groups were like, "Oh, I thought she was the mother of that kid that came on stage," and like, or like, "Oh, I thought it was like King's wife or something," and I'm just like, I'm also a bass player, you know, like I may be a woman, but my job isn't just to get married and have children. And yeah, when they said, "Oh, we're going to see more of her," it was kind of, I don't know, you know, of course, people didn't know that was going to happen, or even that they were looking for a bass player for this situation, for that tour. So it must have been a bit random. But there were some people who did know me already. Sorry.
So for those unaware, why did they even need a bass player? Mercyful Fate has a bass player.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it was. Oh, how that happened?
I was going to say, so why did they even need you to play for them in the first place?
Oh, so their bass player is Joey Vera, and he also plays in Armored Saint. And Armored Saint are kind of like his thing. I think he's like one of the original members. He's one of the main driving forces behind the band. And because of like some COVID stuff, things being moved around, there was a tour. The Armored Saint was supporting Wasp in North America. And that got moved. Some things got moved around, and basically the Armored Saint tour and the Mercyful Fate tour ended up being the same month. And so he couldn't really get out of the Armored Saint thing because it's kind of like his band. So he had to. The band were happy to be like, well, we'll just find someone else just to cover those shows for you. And that ended up being me. So that's great.
It's
thanks,
Wasp.
Thanks, Wasp.
Yeah.
Thanks, Armored Saint. Thanks, Joey. Thanks, everyone.
Yes, guys, appreciate that.
Like, that was great.
How mental.
Thanks, COVID.
That's okay. On the Bloodstock week, it's going to be great to then be headlining on the Saturday night on the main stage. Like, what a transition that is from just being a regular, just enjoying the festival, to actually playing the main stage, headlining.
Well, I was just there to say hello, and Joey was there to play it. But being able to play for that kind of caliber band, it's just insane. All the bands that I've been in are very small DIY kind of units. Like, we do the merch ourselves. We kind of, I don't know, book the gigs ourselves a lot of the time, and it's just the team of like 4 or 5 people. And then moving over to Mercyful Fate, where there's someone in charge of everything. It's really cool. Like, it's a huge crew. There's a lot of people that are counting on you to make things go right, and there's a lot of people that you can count on to make things go right, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So just like a band with so much history and so many like really intense fans, which is great. So in this tour, it was the first time Mercyful Fate had toured in the USA for about 23 years. So there was a lot of fans that had like never seen them before, listened to them like all their lives and never seen the band. So they were like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And so it was really cool to be like at that very special time for those fans and for the band to come back to the USA.
That's mad. I didn't realize it was such a monumental tour for the band as well. That's even more crazy. But
yeah.
Just touching on Bloodstock and that, I saw, I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, I saw on your social media you made a post saying like you weren't even 100% sure about going to Bloodstock for various reasons. I bet you're bloody glad you decided to go now.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of, I was like, oh, I really want to see Mercyful Fate, but like, I don't know, I kind of left it very much to the last minute to get a ticket, and I wasn't sure who was going of my friends groups. I was like, oh, am I going to be, I was having like difficulty with like anxiety at other festivals earlier that year. So I was like, do I really want to be like on my own, not with my friend group, in a much bigger festival, a lot more going on? I don't know if I can hack it. But then me and one of my best friends, we were like, let's get these like last minute tickets like on the Tuesday of the week, a couple of days before the festival. And it was like, well, if you're going, we'll be okay. I'll be okay if you're there, and you'll be okay if I'm there. Let's get these tickets very last minute and let's go. So yeah, I am really glad that I went. Yeah.
But the tour, like, as you're saying, I've seen nothing but incredible praise. I was doing my research for this and I was looking at posts and little videos and everyone was like, Becky fucking killed it. It was so good. But there's one video which stood out amongst them all. And that is Dave Grohl going fucking crazy watching Mercyful Fate. That must be insane for you to see.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. I didn't know that he was going to come to any of the shows. I was very excited about what celebrities might be coming to some of the shows, because as I said, the band haven't been to the USA for a really long time. There's going to be a lot of like famous people in America, like a lot of like metal musicians that would like want to come and see this show. But I wasn't expecting Dave Grohl, not at all. And then I was like kind of backstage in LA, and then I think the assistant came up to me. She was like, I didn't expect to see Dave Grohl wandering around. I'm like, you say what? Say what? Like, he's here? And they're like, it's like, yeah. I think like we have to like make some room, like, like he's Dave Grohl. He can't really be hanging around certain places. So he needs to find like places he can go. So kind of have like a bit less like pressure and stuff. And then I met him at the end. I got a really nice two-handed handshake, and he said he had a great night and it was great to see me play. And I was like, oh my god. And then afterwards I came across that video of him really enjoying the Mercyful Fate set, and I was like, I have to post this is really cool. Screaming about Satan and like
it's amazing.
Man, I didn't like I know everyone loves Dave Grohl, but like I thought everyone loved Dave Grohl, but there's that things I post that video. There's been a lot of hate for Dave Grohl on the post, and I was like, I didn't know that Dave Grohl got hate. Like, he's so nice. What's going on? There was only a bit, but it was mostly like, oh, why is he screaming about Satan? Like, Jesus will not take his soul now. And I'm like, oh, come on. Like, and are people shocked about this? People are like, oh, I expected more from you, Dave. And it's like, he literally played Satan in a movie. Did you not know? Are you actually a Dave Grohl fan and you didn't know that he dresses as Satan, has done that multiple times in his life? He's a pretty metal guy. Like he's if you think he's a Jesus guy, like I don't know, maybe you need to have a word with yourself.
Oh. Is there any like particular standout moments from this tour though for yourself? Anyway, you look back and you're just like, I can't believe that fucking happened.
I mean, there was that one, the Dave Grohl thing. There was when we went to Mexico. So after like USA, we came back, and then there was two festivals in Mexico. And the first one was Hell and Heaven Festival, which I think is like 80,000 capacity or something ridiculous like that. And so we played just before. So on our stage, we played, and then afterwards was Megadeth, and then on our stage after us was Kiss. So it was like Anthrax, then us, then Megadeth, then Kiss, and I was like, oh my god, Kiss are on next, like in this space. And I met Frank Bello from Anthrax just before we went on, and he played my bass. He was like, oh yeah, can I give that a go? I'm like, yes, you can. Here you go. So that was crazy. And there was, I think they said it was probably around 60,000 people that watched us for that set. I think a lot of them were waiting for Kiss. They were a bit like, what is going on here? They didn't really like the kind of audience member for Kiss, the people who are really obsessed with them and are trying to get to the front of the like, but I don't know, your average Kiss fan trying to get to the front of the audience, and then they have to sit through Mercyful Fate, and they're like, okay, I like the makeup, but this is different.
I didn't know a man could hit that high note.
Oh, yeah. These are longer and it's about different subjects, but but that was really, really cool. And then the second festival we played was in Monterey, and Judas Priest were headlining, and so I met Rob Halford after we played, and that was like so cool because I think he kind of came in the room, he didn't really know who everyone was and stuff. But he spoke to King for a little bit, and King was like, "Oh, this is our bass player Becky. She lives in Birmingham." And he's like, "Birmingham? Oh my god! Like, where in Birmingham do you live?" And like, we're just having a little chat about like Midlands things, and I was just great until he had to like go and play, and then I got to watch Judas Priest play as well. So that was really cool.
That's amazing. I was going to say, did you mention the fact you're from Birmingham? Because, it's Rob, you've got to.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But taking it round to what you're doing now, have you had many people follow you from Mercyful Fate to discover Fury, to discover Hands Off Gretel?
Yes, yeah. So I've been, while I was on the tour, there was a lot of new people following me, and I still kept like posting occasionally about Fury stuff. So, and yeah, people saying like, "Oh, I saw you play in whichever state," and they're like, "Oh, now I've discovered Fury and I really like it," and that's like great news. And I think there are some similarities between Mercyful Fate and Fury. Like they're both like kind of classic metal and like very like riffy, vocals that divide opinion actually sometimes, but I guess all vocals divide opinion. But yeah, a lot of people will be like, "Not sure about this guy's vocals," and I'm like, I bet the people say the same about King. So I'm like, if there's people who are like more open-minded about what vocals are like, then we want those kind of fans.
Can anyone have a problem with Julian's vocals?
I know, I don't understand.
What?
Someone was like, "Oh, he kind of sounds like Vince Neil, and I don't really get it for this kind of music." And I'm like, "It does not sound like Vince Neil."
I can understand what Julian's saying. So no, he doesn't sound like Vince Neil. He could probably say the words "kickstart my heart," not "kickstart my hat." No, but Julia, one of the notes I made when I was listening to Fury is like, "My God, this man's voice is phenomenal."
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. I think he's got a great voice. I think I don't know. I'm very biased, but I think it's one of the best like voices in metal. Really, got to say it.
Amazing. And same with Lauren. Her voice is absolutely incredible. You surround yourself with incredible vocalists and bands in general. It's absolutely amazing to see.
Yeah, they're both like really good. But yeah, I'm hoping that now we definitely got more orders to the USA of Fury CDs and stuff. So there are people saying, "Come to the USA," and I'm like, not so easy for a small band like us, but we'll try. And it'll be interesting when Hands Off Gretel start touring again. If we have more of the metal fans coming along and seeing what Hands Off Gretel do, because I don't know, like I think they're all the kind of music that can reach into different genres, and like people who typically like different genres tend to find something in Hands Off Gretel that they like, even if it is like in its core more of a punk kind of alternative rock grunge band. There's a lot of things that like metalheads are like, hell yeah, that's cool. So yeah, looking forward to going back with them at some point.
Amazing. Just quickly, just wrapping up the Mercyful Fate stuff, is there any plans to work with them again that you know of, or is it just back to normal now?
It's just back to normal, really. They said, if the opportunity ever comes up again, I'm going to be the first person that they speak to. So just hopefully Armored Saint get busy. But it's like it's Joey's job now, like as it has been for the last few years. So like that is his place, and I've always understood that. So I was just glad to have had that opportunity to do it for a couple of months, and that's really cool. And now I've been able to have a taste of it and play in front of all those people, and it'd be exciting to see what comes next if anything else does come of it. But there's no plans really.
The only way, as the M people once said, the only way is up. Like I said, the crowd absolutely loved what I saw, the clips of you. There's a clip of you with King just pushing you to the front of the stage as well. And everyone just fucking went crazy. And I was like, I don't even know this person. I'm going to interview her in a couple of days. I don't know her. And I'm so happy and proud for her. It's amazing to see.
Thanks.
It's phenomenal. But doing my research for this as well, I also discovered, and something I really admired as well, was the Bristol Rock Centre and your work doing tuition, like I said. For those unaware, what exactly is the BRC?
The Bristol Rock Centre is a school that I kind of co-founded when I lived in Bristol I moved to Bristol to study at uni there. But after I was kind of finishing uni, me and a couple of other ex-students of BIM, the university, set up our own teaching company because the guitar teacher Rich, he started teaching people, and then they kept asking him for more and more like people to teach. Like he was kind of full to capacity, and people were asking for bass lessons and drum lessons, singing lessons. He's like, I know loads of people who'd be good enough to teach, but they have nowhere to teach from because like they're just teaching in their bedroom and stuff. But I do have this space that I can that they can use. So we started teaching from his garage, and then it kind of grew from there. We ended up getting a premises in like 2013, where we had a few rooms where it's like rehearsal rooms and stuff, so we could have several teachers teaching at the same time. And then we started trying to encourage especially the young students to play together. So we like force them into bands. I mean, like, okay, bass player, the guitarist, drummer, similar age. Okay, you've all learned this song now. Like, go and play, and we're gonna make you rehearse, and then we're gonna book a like showcase little gig, and then you're gonna prepare for that, and your parents are gonna watch you, and it's all just a nice safe space where you can have a go at like doing the band thing and the live music thing, and see how you get on, really. But actually a lot of adults took it up. It was really popular for adults to meet other I guess it's more like when you're learning, there are a lot of people out there that are playing, but they're more a kind of semi-professional level and stuff, and you're not quite ready for that, but you are learning. You do want to play with other people who are at similar level. So we were kind of like matchmakers for musicians and stuff. We're like, where we can put them in situations where they're not going to feel out of their depth, and they're going to feel like they're around the kind of people that will, I don't know, just learn together, So yeah, that was kind of what we were doing down there.
That's awesome.
It's cool, like trying to, like, you're passing on your knowledge to like the next generation sort of, even though you said you had adults turn up and everything. But like, it's like, that's what I learned. So now I'm going to teach the next people who can then teach the people after that, and then teach people after that, and like becoming a bit of a pioneer, Becky. It's great.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, but no, it's good to see some of our students then go on and I don't know, they grow up so fast. Like you start teaching them, they're like 13, and then suddenly they're starting at the university that you studied at, a few years ago. It was obviously like 5 years before, but it's really good to see them. And they've already got some experience at that point because they've been forced into bands by us for years. I don't know, kids just need a push these days. Like, they if you let them be, they might just like play video games all day. So you have to like force them to fill their schedule with like music and nonsense.
Or just like live on Snapchat or TikTok. That's literally what it is, isn't it, kids?
Yeah.
Incredible. Is BRC still going? And obviously you live in Birmingham now, but is it still going?
Yeah, so BRC is still going. I don't teach there anymore because I moved to Birmingham a few years ago. But yeah, I'm still kind of one of the co-founders. Like, I guess I kind of director, but I'm kind of I don't have much running in the day to day anymore. So, occasionally I go back and we put on a Christmas gig in Bristol, and sometimes other tutors perform at this gig and students come along and stuff. But I've taken more of a back seat since I've moved away. But the school is still there. Like, if you're in Bristol area, like, check it out.
Incredible. But what are you working on at the moment that you can talk about, or have you got anything coming out or just come out that you want people to go check out?
I guess there isn't much that's come out recently. Like, the last thing was like just a year ago, the Fury album came out. But we are working on a new little single, which is a bit different. Like, we're doing a little collaboration thing with Luke Appleton. And I think we can say it's acoustic. It's an acoustic track. But that's going to be coming out next month. So that's another Fury thing. And after that, I don't know, we're writing a new Fury album for next year. And we're touring in the UK. So yeah, this year is mostly like finish writing and then record the album for Fury's album 5. Get this new single going next month, and tour And I do kind of a Patreon at the moment. So I set it up during like lockdown and coronavirus and all that stuff, because I was like, I have no way to make money. What shall I do? And then I thought, I've always wanted to do this Patreon thing. Like, it's been going around for a little while, and I thought I should try it at some point. Now is a perfect time because, yeah, I can't do anything else. So yeah, I started that then, and it's been going really well. Like, it's been, sort of, it has to take kind of has to play second fiddle really to my bands, but I always find a way to make it work. So it's more like whatever I'm doing as my main thing. Like on the Mercyful Fate tour, I was trying to film like behind the scenes content to go on my Patreon. And then if I'm home, then I'm like, okay, I can focus more on bass videos and transcriptions and other stuff that people might be interested in while I'm home. So yeah, that's been kind of what's taking up most of my time at the moment.
Incredible. Absolutely. Thank you so much for doing this. Mr. Stevens, do you have any more questions for our wonderful guest before we start?
I do, Becky. I'll let you enjoy your side of that, and
I'm listening.
You're all good. You're all good. Basically, obviously, kicking ass in the world of rock and metal as a female bassist, like paving the way, shall we say, for the younger generation coming up. But when you first started and went, you know what? I want to play bass guitar. I don't want to be a vet. I want to, absolutely kick it on stage with amazing people and amazing bands and teach as well. Did you ever think that when you got to now, like, this would be your life so far, like being on stage and with touring the US and all that sort of thing?
I kind of thought, I don't know. I always try and like remember what I was expecting of the music industry. I kind of thought it'd be easier, I thought it would be easier to kind of start a band and, with your mates, and then you kind of start touring, and then you get some fans, and then suddenly, whoosh, there it goes. Like, suddenly you're huge, and then you're everywhere. Like when you read all these books about certain bands in the early days, all the bands that make books about their lives, I guess they had a very like quick ascension to like stardom and things like this. So you think, oh yeah, that'll happen, and this will happen, and then like record label, like private jets, everything will be great. So I don't know. I kind of I just expected it to like happen in a different way. Not that I'm massively disappointed. I didn't think I expected more, but I just kind of just thought it would happen a lot quicker. I thought that by this, I don't know, especially when you're young, you think that 25 is really old, for example. And so I was like, oh, I'm sure by the time I'm 22, I'll be like, already been there, done that, and like done it all. So there is kind of that. But then, if anyone had said to me, like, do you think, like, if I was listening to Mercyful Fate, like when I first bought their album back in like many, many years ago, if someone said like, you might one day play with them, what do you think about that? I'd be like, no, that's just silly. Like, they're this like enormous band that like have influenced Metallica, like my favorite band. Like, there's no way that I would ever have the chance to play with them. But then here you go. So this is like, even, I don't know, in a way even cooler than what I was expecting, because I don't know, I just kind of expected that I don't know, I'd have a band with my friends and we'd be really cool, but then the record label will want to change us, and then I'd have to like dye my hair blonde and like get eyelash extensions and sell out totally. That's kind of what I expected to happen, but like none of that happened.
Sound almost disappointed. You're like, I wanted to dye my hair and my eyelash extensions.
I wanted to sell out. I wanted to buy. Where's the money?
You're right. You're right. What you're saying about books. I was like, I remember reading the Dirt, the Motley Crue book, and they're like, yeah, we played on the Sunset Strip, and then someone came to see us, and they signed us, and then the next thing you know, we're on tour with Ozzy Osbourne. I was like, surely there's more to it than that. Like, there was some harder work put into it than that.
Yeah, surely there was a few more steps along the way. Like, just like get rid of all of the really boring months and years where something else happened.
I think they base it on followers now, don't they? Followers and views you've had and stuff on social media and all that crap.
Yeah, it's just a completely different industry now. Like, I don't think labels really do that. They don't go out and, you don't have to play London all the time, so you get discovered by an A&R person. It's like they will just like look on your thing like, oh, lots of views, okay, let's look at your TikTok, okay, lots of interaction, and then something may happen because of that. But even then, they're not going to be like, here's a record deal. They're just going to be like, sign over everything to us and you shall see what happens. It's like there's no money in it for them to actually offer you anything interesting. It's just kind of, do you want to just give us money and you might get some good gigs, and then you just have to like sign away all of your rights to everything. So I don't know, it's I don't know, the music industry is a very strange beast and I still don't understand it.
And you went to uni and everything. Bastards.
I like it was all for nothing, obviously. I wasn't paying attention.
Too much crying in the bathroom, that's what it was.
It's just busy crying, sorry.
What I love is whenever we talk to musicians, are like, music industry, it's bullshit, it makes no sense. Why'd you do it? Because I fucking love it. I wouldn't do anything else. It's the best.
Yeah.
One last question for myself before we start wrapping up. I know this might be asking you to like pick a favorite child or something, but if there's someone listening to this and they're like, do you know what? I like this Becky. I like the cut of her jib. I'm going to go check out some of the bands she's playing with. If you could recommend like 1 or 2 songs from the band you've played with, people to go check out, you're like extra proud of, what might they be?
Okay, I guess from Fury, I would recommend Burnout. It's the most kind of like just like catchy one, and it starts with a bass solo, and then it has another bass solo in it just for good measure.
And you get to dress like a mechanic in the video.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, yep. Still don't know how to fix cars though. That's unfortunate. Oh, it's funny because the Fury van broke down in November, and it's still not fixed yet, and it's like, is this like the universe like telling us off for dressing as mechanics? Be like, you're not really mechanics though, are you? Like, your van is broken and you don't know what's going on. And all the guys at the garage be like, oh, this has been, you need a new injector and you need this, and you're like, don't know what you're saying. Like, I don't know what it is. Anyway, so yeah, Burnout, definitely top recommended. I think, I guess from Hands Off Gretel, I would go for She Thinks She's Punk Rock and Roll. It's just like really snappy short song, and I don't know if you're into that kind of like punk stuff, and if you're into like kind of female fronted, female empowerment in like rock music, then that's like a really cool one.
Phenomenal. Becky, this has been so much fun. I really appreciate taking out time to do this. We've had an absolute blast talking to you.
It has been fun. Yes, I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you so much. But before you do get out of here, are there any plugs, social medias, anything you want people to go and check out?
Please check out, if you check out my website, all of the links are there. So my website is beckybaldwinbass.com, and from there you can find my YouTube. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and then you can find Fury's website on furyofficial.co.uk. And we have all of our like tour dates and stuff. We're touring in the UK this year, and our web store and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Incredible.
Becky, this has been amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been great. I've had a lot of fun.
Good. So we're really pleased. And we look forward to seeing you at Primordial Festival at the end of April.
Oh, great. Yes. That's going to
be awesome. Really looking forward to it. So we are there on behalf of these lovely people. So we shall be there to enjoy suck Fury in with our eyes. It's going to be great.
Great. Yes,
we should definitely see you there. And if you're at Bloodstock, we'll see you there as well, because we're going to be there. So.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I will be there.
Wonderful.
Nice.
Incredible. Thank you so much, Becky. It's been amazing.
Oh, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too. Take care of yourself. I'll speak to you soon.
Care.
All right. Bye.
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 What a fascinating and just wonderful conversation. I found this so inspiring. The fact she was like, no, I'm going to be a bass player. And she don't fucking quit, and she makes it. It's incredible.
Yeah, I loved it. At the beginning of the interview, I think she was quite apprehensive as to be like, what have I let myself in for? But then she really lets her guard down. And it's an absolutely incredible interview. And I can understand, with the two of us that are just fucking... so, yeah.
We're going to throw fucking questions at you. Deal with it.
It was great. It was absolutely fantastic. Thanks for taking the time to chat to us. We really, really appreciate it. We absolutely loved it. And hearing all your story. And we hope the Fury tour is going well. We hope that you guys out there enjoyed listening to it as much as we do recording it.